looking for the snap with a chance to end the game. Hands it off to J.J. Taylor. It's on the ground. Tyler Johnson picks it up, a fumble. Arizona State football.
Wilkins in the pistol. He gets the snap, gives to Benjamin. Benjamin up the middle, cuts to the sideline. There he goes. After being down by 19 points, Eno Benjamin gives the Sun Devils a 1-point lead in the Territorial Cup.
Here we go, 41-40. This one's for the game. The kick is up, and it is wide right. No good. Arizona State is going to win the football game. The Sun Devils come back from 19 points down and are bringing home the cup for the second straight year. Sun Devil fans, you are a champion, not because you just won the Territorial Cup, but because you were with us on the house finale. He's Blaine McCormick, I'm Scotty Gange, and Blaine, the Devils go down to Tucson and have a comeback for the ages.
Territorial Cup champions. There's no better phrase, and it just rolls so smooth off of the tongue.
Sounds good, sounds good.
You know what else is good? The highlights from that 41-40 victory. Well, let's get it rolling. Some Territorial Cup action in Tucson, the 92nd meeting between these bitter rivals, and, well, there was a few fireworks to start off the day even before the first kickoff, and Arizona exploded out to a 10-point lead, but then Manny Wilkins answers with this 58-yard dime to Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk, a guy that we've seen just get better and better as the weeks have gone by, and made a huge play to get the Devils on the board to start it.
And I love how he points to the camera, and Wilbur and his Wildcats would have something planned for the next score as Khalil Tate over to Sean Poindexter, 23-yard passing touchdown, makes the Cats take a 19-7 lead.
Sometimes when you're Kobe Williams, there's just nothing you can do. He's got about 7 or 8 inches on him. You can't teach height, you can't teach vertical jump. Right there, Sean Poindexter made him pay.
Something you can't teach is just pure talent, and that's what Eno Benjamin has, as we'll see one of his touchdown runs on this play. This one was the first one, a 10-yarder, making it 19-14 Arizona, but it's really the strength that he presented.
Yeah, you talk about that. He made initial contact at the 5-yard line and made it about halfway into the end zone once he finally hit the ground. Benjamin, Blaine, he's just a beast.
And we mentioned Benjamin before. Here he is in the second half. After a safety and a couple field goals, well, he notches his second touchdown of the day, 14 yards on this one, making it 27-21, and a few choice words for the defense.
Absolutely love it. Get right in his face after you score a touchdown.
And it really got ugly for the Sun Devils. A rushing touchdown, and this shuffle pass to Tony Ellison, just so easy for Khalil Tate.
Yeah, Ruz, really both the safeties went up thinking they were going to give it to J.J. Taylor and just tossed it right over him. Khalil Tate showed the type of athlete he is.
40-21 Wildcats, a 19-point deficit, but Brandon Reese chips away at the lead with this 27-yard field goal, and then an 11-yard run by Manny Wilkins, and you just love the field vision.
I mean, Manny Wilkins, he's showed us these type of plays for 3 years now. He's a gamer. On the ensuing play right after it, the 2-point conversion, he made another awesome play and hit Tommy Hudson for 2.
And then it really got good for the defense for Arizona State as redshirt freshman Tyler Johnson pounces on this fumble after the botched handoff. He recovers it for his offense, and then Eno Benjamin just does the rest. Rolls around and scores your go-ahead touchdown. After the PAT, it would be 40-41 in favor of the Devils, and this is where it got tense. Everyone holds their breath for the last-minute field goal from U of A, and it's up, but it's no good. Wide to the right of the goalpost, and the Sun Devils keep the cup in Tempe. Boy, what a fun matchup.
I mean, to say the very least fun. There was emotions on both sides, tears on ASU's sideline of happiness, tears on U of A's sideline of sadness. I mean, you can see right there, the fans are going crazy. What a way for Manny Wilkins to leave of his career.
This has been a great ride. This has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. And with that being said, I'd like to forego my senior season and declare for the 2019 NFL Draft.
So Manny Wilkins not the only Sun Devil leaving on a high note. As you saw it right there, N'Keal Harry is officially taking his talents to the pros, and it's a decision that I don't quite believe really surprises any of us. He's been a player that Sun Devil fans have gotten the opportunity to boast about, and well, they'll continue to do so, may I add. He's been a man that has represented the university in the best of ways. And with that, we cannot properly wish him a farewell without reliving his greatest moments as a Sun Devil. Let's start with number 5. Michigan State in town. Manny Wilkins throwing it up in the 4th quarter. Who else but Nickeil coming down with it? That tied the ball game at 13. And as you all may know, 16-13, Devils won it in week 2.
Scotty, people forget that Nickeil once almost took Manny Wilkins' job. Here he is in a Sparky formation. Tosses the ball to C.J. French Love for the touchdown against the Stanford Cardinal. Arizona State would lose this one, but my goodness, Nickeil.
He can catch the ball, he can throw the ball, and apparently he can return it too. Let's take it back to USC in the Coliseum. This is about 40 yards to his right and 92 yards upfield to get the 6 points for Arizona State. The guy can just quite outdo it all.
He had 3 touchdowns against the Utah Utes. This is the purtiest of them all. He goes, beats 2 defenders, gets a little bobbled, but then slams it home into the end zone. 3 touchdown performance, the most of his Sun Devil career.
He threw that down with one hand, and we're about to see one more one-hand action from Nickeil Harry. Ball up in the air, comes down with it. Call him Odell. Nickeil Harry caught it practically with 3 fingers on that one. It's so nice. Let's see it twice. Slow motion in the air, gets it with one hand, slides about 6 more yards. Nickeil Harry, number 1 on the field, and Arizona State fans, number 1 in your hearts.
Well, Nickeil Harry, a very special player and a very special athlete for Arizona State fans to really relish about in the near future.
That was fun, Blaine. It was like a walk through memory lane.
Oh my gosh, I remember that Stanford game too. I was there for that one, and boy, you just can't believe how athletic this guy is. But we want to bring in Jordan Palacio up on the terrace, and well, Jordan, this is an interesting scenario because where do you really see Nickeil Harry going? There's already a report around that the Cardinals may be interested in him and potentially could take him at the projected number 2 spot.
Yeah, thanks, Blaine. You said it best. Nickeil Harry projected to go as high as number 2 to the Arizona Cardinals in some reports. However, if we're looking at things a little bit more realistically, I think if the Cardinals have that number 2 pick, they're most likely going to trade down to a mid-round pick. We've seen the Cardinals do this before in drafts. General manager Steve Keim loves to bag himself an extra couple of picks later in the draft, around 2, 3, and 4 pick. And I think that's probably what he's going to do if given the opportunity again. We all know the big home run hit in this draft class is Nick Bosa. And if the Cardinals can't land him, I think they'll be more than content to trading for a few other picks. Now let's look a little bit more broadly at the draft to figure out where Nickeil is probably going to go. And if you're asking me, I think it's probably a mid to late first-round spot is where he's going to find himself out. You take a look at a couple of teams in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills, their number 1 wide receiver right now is Kelvin Benjamin. I think there's definitely some room for improvement there, especially with a young quarterback in Josh Allen. Also, the New York Jets could also use some receiver help. And Nickeil can link up there with former Pac-12 quarterback Sam Darnold there as well. And like I said, probably mid to late, anywhere from 10 to 20. The report came out earlier this week that stated that Nickeil probably might go to the Baltimore Ravens in the early 20s. I don't think he's going to fall that far, but with so much time from here until April, until the draft, there's so much that can happen. A bad pro day, a bad combine, who knows where he's going. But if you're asking me, like I said, probably mid to late first round.
Now, Jordan, when it's all said and done, Nickeil will go down as perhaps one of the best wide receivers in Sun Devil history. But for the near and immediate future of this program, how do you fill that void?
Yeah, Scotty, it's a fair question. How do you replace a first-round pick? How do you replace a kid that has led your receiving core for the last 3 years? And I think to do that, you might only have to go 1 number down on the roster spot. You look at Brandon Ayuk for this team, and he really came into his own the last few games of the season. Now, he only had 3 receiving touchdowns, but 2 out of those 3 were clutch touchdowns against Oregon on the road and then against U of A on the road as well. So I think Ayuk, you know, we've seen it, we've heard it. Jeff Van Rapport, the color analyst for the Sun Devil Radio Network, is very high on Brandon Ayuk. And you look further down the receiving core, the receiving depth chart, Frank Darby was the home run hitter for this team this season. Nickeil wasn't that deep threat guy. You could throw to Nickeil and you know he'd pull it down, but Frank Darby really was that guy on a Hail Mary type play. He would go up and he would go get the ball. And I think those two moving up a spot on the depth chart, going from a 2 and a 3 to a 1 and a 2, can really be an anchor point for the Sun Devil offense, most likely led by Eno Benjamin next season.
Yeah, well, Jordan, he's definitely been an exciting player to watch, and thanks for coming in and helping us and sharing your insight.
Thank you, boys. Anytime.
Well, we at the house wish the best for Nickeil and best of luck and your future NFL endeavors. But we want to continue the show with coverage of the Arizona game, and we want to break this down with our film expert, Austin Burnett. But this was a game that was topsy-turvy right from the start, even before kickoff. But I think that Manny Wilkins to Brandon Ayuk touchdown was really the key starting point and the momentum builder for the Sun Devils.
Oh, yeah, I tell you what, after ASU got that huge play to Brandon Ayuk, which we're going to see here very shortly, and, they got a fumble, to complete the comeback. I mean, it was really an A-plus effort. So as we get to the highlights here, I mean, Manny Wilkins, we're going to see him in the shotgun here. He's going to freeze this safety with his eyes, as you're going to see here. Brandon Ayuk, he's going to be near the top of your screen. He's looking left to right. Pump fakes, that's what got the safety on his heels. Hits Brandon Ayuk over the middle for the very nice touchdown. What a dime.
I know, right?
Like right on a dime there by Manny Wilkins. The resiliency of him playing throughout the game was just incredible. But we're going to see a very similar situation here with Khalil Tate. He is Arizona State's in what they call a cover zero. Khalil Tate gets a little option fake, hits his receiver over the top. A little Tim Tebow.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, a little Tim Tebow imitation right there. And this fumble, this is the play that really turned the tide for Arizona State. It set up the Eno Benjamin long run for ASU to take the lead. And this Tyler Johnson, you can't say enough about the kid. And this ASU defense in general, mostly freshmen, a lot of young players on this defense. And for Arizona State to pick up that fumble, setting up that huge touchdown drive by Eno Benjamin, getting into the end zone, it's huge.
And I'm glad you mentioned the defense with all the freshmen that they have on their staff with Darian Butler, Ashari Crosswell. He had a key interception in the game as well. Tyler Johnson, the redshirt freshman, and then also Merlin Robertson, who has just been an absolute beast this season. This is going to be fun for Sun Devil fans in the near future.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're an ASU fan, you have to be so excited about this defense. There's a lot of young players, but the experience to come is unprecedented.
Austin, thanks so much for coming in. We're going to toss it back over to Scotty at the desk.
Now, this season has featured a flurry of memorable plays. Think Brandon Reese draining the game winner against Michigan State, N'Keal Harry taking the punt back in the Coliseum, or Eno Benjamin rushing for 10,000 yards against Oregon State. But this moment, this call, it trumps them all and requires no introduction. Braden Bell with the sound.
Right-footed kicker. Here we go. Snap, hold, kick, up. It is no good! Pollock missed it to the right! Arizona State's gonna win it! Oh my goodness!
On the field, the Devils have awed us with their immaculate play. But in the booth, our number of Blaze broadcasters have turned those flashes of flair into framed memories of excellence. And for that, gentlemen, we respect and thank you. And we're going to dive right in now to pros and cons. I've got the cons for today, and I'm going to say the almighty one of the day, the week, the month, the year, the century is N'Keal Harry is foregoing his senior year to enter the NFL draft.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to respect his decision to go into the NFL. He has put his blood, sweat, and tears into this Arizona State program and has really been an inspiration to all the players that have been here and also the future ones to come. That's my soapbox for that one. My first pro, he's going to be a top wide receiver as well in the NFL. And my goodness, the guy is just immaculate. I think he's going to be the first wide receiver taken in the NFL draft. We'll see which team he goes to, but there's nothing but brightness for this guy's future.
Yeah, Blaine, he said in his press conference the other day, this Monday, that he was happy to leave, especially off of the win against Arizona and how amazing that was for him to go off with a win. But, another con for this year is that they didn't win the Pac-12 South. They were so close, but they didn't get that Pac-12 South. And Herm Edwards said that he will never find a season successful until they come up with a win in a Pac-12 South championship or a Pac-12 championship, and they just didn't get that done.
But I got to admit, you got to love the motivation from Herm Edwards to say that 7-5 just ain't good enough. It wasn't good enough for Todd Graham. He got fired. Now Herm Edwards coming in, he knows what the goal is. It's to get to that Pac-12 championship game and eventually into the college football playoff. But this program is on the rise. We mentioned the true freshmen earlier in the show and all the new recruits that are coming in as well. I think this program is going to be on the rise, and they got a lot of media attention. ESPN, all the coverage here in Arizona from the wonderful outlets here. It's going to be good for the Sun Devils next year and the following months.
Yeah, you talk about the media attention. Maybe it was because just all their games were so close and so good.
Yeah.
I mean, think of all 5 of their losses. We talked about it a number of times. They were all one-score losses, but that's a con. After a while, they did get some one-score wins. wins, but with the 5 one-score losses, you've got to think, grab 1 or 2 or 3 of those more, and it is a total season changer. Perhaps you're in the Pac-12 championship, and I mean, they're just so close too many times this year, I'd say.
I would say so, but it was a close one in Arizona. But here's the big thing. The Cup is back in Tempe, baby. The Territorial Cup. Arizona State took it. They took it last year. That's now 2 wins in a row for the program. That's huge. It was also in Tucson. A hostile environment, a rivalry game, and Herm Edwards proved victorious over the Tucson School, the Arizona Wildcats. And boy, those Sun Devils just showed up, especially the defense. That's the last pro. That's the final pro of this segment and also for this semester. I know it's a sad day, but we're going to toss it over to Zach to see, well, where the Arizona State Sun Devils could be playing for their bowl game in the near future. Zach, what do you have for us?
Well, folks, it's that time of the year again. The Sun Devils are going bowling for the 3rd year in a row. It may not be in Pasadena as many as hope, but the Devils are still headed to a bowl game to conclude 2018. With only conference championship weekend remaining this season, bowl predictions are finally starting to take shape, and here on the house, we have the latest. On December 15th is the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl, where a Pac-12 team is set to face off against the Mountain West squad. On the 26th, just down the road at Chase Field, is the Cheez-It Bowl. Here, a Pac team will face a Big 12 team. Now, on the 28th is the Valero Alamo Bowl in San Antonio, Texas, with the same Pac Big 12 matchup. Finally, on New Year's Eve, Big 10 and Pac-12 teams will face each other in the Red Box Bowl in Santa Clara and the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. But there's one that I'll call my prediction, the Hyundai Sun Bowl on the 31st. A Pac-12 team will meet an ACC team in El Paso, Texas, and I think the 7-5 Devils will fit in perfectly. Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Miami, and UVA are all 7-5 as well. The Devils may find themselves with another duel in the desert, this time, though, under the Texas sun.
Well, thanks so much, Zach. We'll see where Arizona State ends up in the bowl prediction scrum, but, we'll know that come Selection Sunday. But we want to continue the show. Your and I's favorite segment. It's Pick Your Poster, the Kirk Gibson fist bump. I love it, Scotty, and I love this first guy. Have you ever seen Avengers?
Love Avengers.
All right. Iron Man got a makeover.
Oh, no.
Let's see it right here. I don't know if he went to the Tucson Sephora or the Arizona Team Shop or something, but I love the attention to detail. He's got the U of A right in the center of his chest, got the blasters on his hands, the silver helmet, all the outlining. This guy, I think he might be fan of the year, to be honest. This is so good.
I mean, it really is. And yeah, you said he's around all Arizona State fans, but I did hear there's actually a new movie coming out with this guy, but it's only 3 of 4 quarters long. So it's not the best movie. It's only the first 3 out of 4 quarters. That's when it shows up. But I tell you what, we see Iron Man. I've got something that might be better, might be worse, but it's not the full Avengers, but it's one of the best t-shirts I've ever seen. We'll pull it up right here. This guy hates 3 things. 1 is Trump. 2 is Trump's clan. I don't really know about that. But 3 is U of A. He hates 2 things about Trump, 1 thing about U of A, but he hates U of A in Tucson.
Can I say something about this? I'm going to be a little controversial.
Oh, hello.
I hate this font. It's too simple. I need something more extravagant. I need something more
like an Iron Man
your
suit.
face. Yes, an Iron Man suit. I want the U of A Thor on his shirt or something. But I do like, he's supporting whatever he believes in, But, I don't know. I'm not a physiology or political science, I don't know what college is. I just talk sports, guys.
Talking sports, politics, t-shirts, Iron Man, and recruits. That's why we're going to send it over to Julian Paras.
The Pac-12 football conference is somewhat of an outlier among the other top conferences like the Big Ten or the SEC, obviously. But the Conference of Champions has a substantial track record of producing solid NFL talent, such as Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. Now, ASU's N'Keal Harry has announced that he is taking his talents to the NFL. Now, whether that is South Beach or the Windy City, don't quote me. The point of what I'm trying to say is that Arizona State is saying goodbye to key players like Manny Wilkins, Karan Crump, and N'Keal. This is a transition stage for Arizona State leading to the recruiting season. And Arizona State should be feeling pretty good that they got their hands on Chad Johnson, not Ocho Cinco, but his son, who could have the chance to fill in for the departure of N'Keal Harry. T. Lee also happens to be one of the other recruits ASU managed to pick up, a promising defensive end who can add to the Sun Devil defense making strides in the right direction. Do you see where I'm going with this? Another thing to add is that the Sun Devils displayed a solid season and finished second in the Pac-12 South. Now, with the Pac-12 North being as dominant as it is, Arizona State shouldn't take their season with a grain of salt. there were moments of offensive galore and defensive efficiency that many haven't seen from a Sun Devil program in quite some time. And for Herm Edwards to finish the season with a 7-5 record in his first year at the helm, I'd say the Sun Devils are looking pretty promising moving forward.
Last year's offseason began with criticism, skepticism, and, well, pessimism too. Now, why the hell would you hire someone who hasn't coached a team in nearly a decade to run your program? The Herm hate was real and it was loud, but if these dozen games have showed us anything, it's that it certainly wasn't deserved.
After a season that projected ASU to finish last in the Pac-12 South, they ended up finishing second. Yes, that's the same record as last year under head coach Todd Graham, and he got canned. But this season just feels different. It's the fact that Herm was able to adapt to the players that were already in Tempe, bring on a nearly clean slate of coaches, and also conjure up a team that was full of true freshmen.
New staff, young guns, and 7 wins is impressive. But take a look at those losses, and you'll find that the Devils never gave up at any point all year long. Arizona State was fortunate enough to have some pivotal leaders on their roster, but you have to know that Herm has brought out a new sense of competition to Tempe. It's a team that plays for something more than themselves, and one that brought an indescribable energy to the grass week in and week out.
When you look at the big-name new head coaches and their final records, Herm tops it at 7-5. Scott Frost at Nebraska, 4-8. Chip Kelly at UCLA was 3-9. Kevin Sumlin at Arizona, 5-7. And then at the NFL level, the Raiders under head coach John Gruden finished 2-9 at this point in the season. People said that Herm was going to be at the bottom of that list, but that just isn't the case. And that's why Herm Edwards is our feel-good story of the week. From Herm to the Conference of Champions, it's our Pac-12 top plays of the year, and we're throwing 10 of them at you, much like Gardner Minshew throwing 7 touchdowns against Arizona. You heard that right. School record. Also 473 yards. He was 43 of 55. No interceptions and a partridge in a pear tree. Gardner Minshew, incredible.
Let's stick in Pullman. I think they gave us enough highlights for this entire segment. But number 9, this is Travell Harris all the way back in week 3. Let me see you move, Travell, making your way all the way down to the end zone. End zone, better than the friend zone. 59-24. Washington State took this one over Eastern Washington.
We mentioned the Avengers earlier. Here's N'Keal Harry showing his Hulk mode. Just pulls through the 2 defenders, goes over to the end zone. N'Keal smash! Touchdown, Arizona State. He's going to the NFL.
Now that's an athlete at its absolute finest, and this is an athlete at its absolute finest. You may remember week 10, here's Greg Gaines, full extension for the big man pick, number 99. Go have some fun with your teammates. 27-23 Washington beat Stanford, and a large thanks of it to Greg Gaines.
Large is the key word there, but a large celebration. Yay, I'm Greg Gaines, I'm a cornerback now. Here's Eno Benjamin, had a great game against the Oregon State Beavers and sheds 3 tackles on this one for the touchdown. Eno is the yes answer to Arizona State's future.
Another stud running back in the state of Arizona, this time in Tucson. J.J. Taylor gets the ball, and he is about to take flight over DeMonte King for the hurdle. That was in their 41-40 loss over the fork of DeMonte. Let's watch it one more time. Oh my goodness, J.J. Taylor.
I want to see his vertical jump numbers. They've got to be really up there. Sorry for the bad pun. Washington taking on Auburn in week 1. This is a throwback. Here's Quentin Pounds. One-handed catch in the corner of the end zone. Can you believe it? Odell Beckham, who? Who cares? It's Quentin Pounds over the Auburn defender and just snags it out of thin air. My goodness, that guy has a bright future.
A little one-hand action. We're going to get another one-hand action. Colby Parkinson all the way back in week 4. One of the most memorable Pac-12 plays of the year here in overtime in Eugene. Bats it with one hand, brings it in for the go-ahead touchdown. The Stanford Cardinal would win that game 38-31. He looks like a big brother taking on a little brother. Number 15 just flailing in midair. Colby Parkinson giving the Stanford Cardinal a huge win.
Here's a cool anecdote for you. Parkinson looked like he was playing volleyball there. Well, he was a former volleyball player as well. And boy, his head coach, very pumped up about that one. The overtime win for the Cardinal. Here's Washington once again. They've got a thing for this one-handed catch. Again, yeah, you saw that? That's Aaron Fuller out of thin air against the Colorado Buffaloes. It's not a touchdown, but it's darn impressive. Leaping and grabbing.
Wow.
One-handed catch. Gosh, Washington, they've just got a funnel system.
Blaine, there's something about one-handed catches and top plays. Of course, the top Pac-12 play of the year, N'Keal Harry, grabbing it out of midair, well, in midair. There was a flag on that play, too. He hauled it in and got national media attention. Yeah, that guy's about to be a professional. Well, Blaine, they call it the Conference of Champions. I think after this, we got to call it the Conference of Highlights.
And a conference of one-handed catches as well. Boy, we had some fun on this show.
Oh, we really did. I mean, the Pac-12 was a lot of fun to cover this year, but the house, I mean, it's always a good time in the house.
It's always a good time at the house, and with that, it's our last show of the semester. Tears running down my face. We're both graduating to the NFL with N'Keal Harry. Well, maybe in a few years. He's going next year. We'll go in like, what, 2040, something like that.
Still working on my 40.
Hopefully faster. Hopefully faster. But thank you so much for sticking with us, with our viewership all throughout the year. For one last time, for our producer, Noah Lau, he's Scotty Gange. I'm Blaine McCormick. Thank you so much for a great 2018, and we'll see you next year better, bigger, and stronger. Good night, folks.
Hey, we're not done, trust me. Ain't nothing about this over.